So what's going on?
Not much, man. I just did an interview. I'm excited for this interview because for the viewers watching at home, Todd runs his own events in Long Island and Queens, and I love his events. I love going to them. So Todd, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Oh, pleasure. Absolute pleasure. I was looking forward to it.
Yes, me too, man. This is a very special interview for me. Again, I love your events and I love going to them. So we'll talk about that later on. But let's dive right in. How long have you been in the mortgage business now?
Wow. So I've been in the mortgage business for 30 plus years. So I've
Wow.
seen many different markets. And what I could tell you, Christian, is the markets sort of like old clothing. You have a market, you see it, then it goes to the next market, and then you see that, and then it goes back. So, we're in an unusual market, but I've seen them all, booms, busts, and everything else. So really interesting.
30 years, man. You're definitely a veteran. So you must have one foot out the door as far as retirement, no?
No, you want to, you want to know something? It's interesting that you say that. I'm sorry, let me just shut my phone. It's interesting that you say that because I tell a story of a dentist friend of mine. And like 10, 15 years ago, he said, if I have to stick my hand in one more person's mouth, I'm going to kill somebody. But in our business, I'm always helping people,
Hmm.
whether it's a first time home buyer, whether it's somebody who their payments are really high and we're getting them into lower payment, we're refinancing them, or a divorce situation, or you know, mom passes. There's a million different things that I run into. So I'm always getting satisfaction from that. So if you can make some money while you're getting satisfaction, then I think you're in a position that you never have to retire. And, I haven't thought about retiring. I guess I could, but I really like it. So no plans to.
And that's a breath of fresh air because, the vast majority of people don't like their jobs, and I did notice that most people in real estate tend to like their jobs. So it's a breath of fresh air. And,
So
obviously,
I spoke to three people. I spoke to a couple. They were on their honeymoon, calling me from the Dominican Republic, and they were putting in an offer without ever seeing the house, a video walk. I don't know. They did a video walkthrough. So I'm talking to them. I was talking to somebody, his mother, his wife, his two kids are going to buy something upstate New York. And, they're really excited. And they were doing a first time home buyer. We're getting them, like $20,000 in money from the state.
hmm.
And then I talked to an actual realtor, and it's so funny. You realtors know everything until it's your own loan, and then you forget everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was talking to a realtor who's buying his first home, and that was all over the weekend. So while I'm out and about, it's I'm helping people, so I like it. I'm
Right.
almost like a first responder, sort of,
Yeah, I mean,
in the real estate world, at least.
you have 30 years under the belt, so I would imagine that a lot of people would want to use you, like obviously I would rather use a veteran than someone who is brand new.
Well, I'll tell you why that's important. Regardless of if you have somebody, you can see how long they've been in the industry. And look, if you're the perfect borrower, you have 800 scores, you're buying a house for a million and you're putting $800,000 down and you make $1 million a year, then use whoever you want. It doesn't really matter. But most people aren't that. Most people need to massage something or understand something. And that you want a professional because 8 o'clock at night, Saturday at 2 p.m., 6 p.m. on a Sunday, I'm available to answer questions and get things done for you. When you're making an offer, Christian, when do people make offers? They normally make it over the week. They go to see the houses over the weekend. You want somebody who's picking up the phone, regardless of whether it's me or somebody else in the industry,
Yep.
picking up the phone on a Saturday. If
Yep.
you're having a conversation with a potential loan officer and you're interviewing them, and they say, "Yeah, my hours are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday," they may be good, but I wouldn't work with that person. This is availability. This is somebody's life. It's the biggest purchase in their life. So I think availability is really important.
Yeah, I mean, when I purchased my co-op, people don't like to wait. People want responses right away. And the thing is, if you make them wait, they're just going to go to the next guy. So availability is very important. Todd, what inspired you to pursue this job 30 years ago?
So many years ago, I went to school. I was going to be a Wall Street guy,
Mm.
and 2 weeks into my job, um, there was what's called a flash crash, and they got rid of my whole, starting class. All the people that were starting, they fired all of us.
Wow.
And by mistake, I answered an ad for the mortgage business, and you know what? I've loved it ever since. So it was, you know, not expected, but it was finance related, and I had gotten my degree in finance, and then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, okay. And I wind up doing things that go with my degree, which I like.
And now you have a job that you love. It all worked out perfectly. So Todd, tell us about your very first year. What was that like?
Oh, very interesting. So what I could say to people coming, who are becoming a new realtor, a new loan officer, I don't know if everybody has this type of drive, but drive is really important.
Hmm.
So I took 0 days off for my first 2 years. And what did I do? I was out there, and things are different now, so you would
Right.
do it different, but take it for what it is. I went to realtors' offices on Saturday and Sundays because they were taking people around Saturday and Sunday. I'd meet buyers. So if you make yourself available, maybe it's not going to realtors' offices, but maybe it's going to open houses
Oh,
and
right.
and visiting open houses instead of going because there are realtors there, and obviously the realtors there have listings and there are buyers showing up. So I think that's a good thing. And what I did was I read everything. Christian, if I tell you how many people I speak to or how many people have worked for me over the years or work for me now that don't read their guidelines, that aren't an expert at what they do. So when guidelines come out, whether it's the new real estate laws, whether it's a new product for a mortgage person, whatever it is, if you don't read it because you're going to get to it later or you'll get to it at some point, you're really doing yourself a disservice
Yep.
because if we're all the same, if we're all selling Coca-Cola, right? Or we're all selling Poland Spring water,
Uh,
right? So when I buy my Poland Spring water, I go to Costco to buy it.
uh,
I don't go to the supermarket. Why? It's $1 cheaper.
yep.
Or I go to the gas station and I go to these two gas stations, depending on where I am in town. Why? Because the gas prices are a little bit less expensive.
Yep.
So if it's just going to be about that as a realtor or as a mortgage loan officer, then you're not going to win because technology is going to get rid of all of those people. And then it becomes the expert. It becomes, you want to use me because I'm going to make your life easy and I'm going to navigate you through all of the pitfalls so that you get to a closing on time when expected. And that's really it. That's the important part of it.
Todd is the right guy to go to. He knows everything. Todd, walk us through a normal day in your shoes. What time do you wake up? Coffee or tea? Walk us through a normal day.
So I'm up normally at 6. I normally go to the gym. I'm in the office by or before 8 o'clock. Um, Before 8 to 9:30, when the rest of the team gets in, that's when I get most of my paperwork done. That's my quiet time. I try not to speak to clients between 8 and 9:30.
Interesting.
I'm available before. I'll tell somebody, hey, you want to call me at 6:30 in the morning, while I'm sitting at the gym or whatever? No problem. You want to call me up until 10 o'clock at night? No problem. But that 1.5 hours of quiet time is where I get most of the things done that I'm looking for. Then I'll start to call realtors. On Monday, I'll call realtors to go over the clients who went out with them over the weekend. On Tuesdays, I do an update on all of the loans. So I call all of the realtors, buyers and selling agent every Tuesday to
Mm.
let them know what's going on with their deal, even if nothing's happened, just to let them know where, what the story is, so that they don't have to call me, they don't have to chase me. It saves so many problems
Yep.
doing that. I'll also call the attorneys and the title companies normally Friday mornings because it's a little less busy Friday mornings. I'll call the attorneys. I'll make sure that, what's going on with them when I'm getting the title. I'll call the companies on Fridays to go over any issues. Those are the times where I get a lot of things done. And then the rest of the time is going out and getting more business.
What about the weekend, Saturday, Sundays? You working those days
So,
or?
so Saturday and Sunday are family times. You have your office with you, right? You have
Yep,
your office with you. They're family times. Um, I have the mobile, so I could run your credit. I could issue you a pre-approval from my cell phone.
yep,
There's a million things I could do from my cell. So I'm mobile. Uh, but you have to have time with your family. There's got to be a balance.
of
But
course. Not a,
taking a call, look, a realtor might make on $1 million property, there might be ten or $20,000 coming to the realtor. You
yep,
got to take those calls.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's not a $7 an hour or a $10 an hour
yeah,
or $15 an hour job.
yeah,
When that person calls you and there's $10,000, $20,000 on the line, you got to take that call. Now, loan officers don't make the same amount. There might be on that same deal, the realtor's getting 10 to 20, we're getting 5,000. It doesn't matter. That's still a lot of money,
yep.
a tremendous amount of money. So again, being available is important. One of the things I have two assistants. Um, I do daily marketing. I'm online. I'll do videos every day. Uh, I'll write and post articles every day. Um, I'm not the type of person that posts an article where I've been. I see that all over the place, or the restaurant I went to, or the concert I went to, unless it's poignant or unless it means something to me. So, for the first time ever, I was at the Freedom Tower this weekend,
Wow.
and it was a gorgeous day yesterday. I mean, right,
Yes, it
Christian,
was.
it was absolutely stunning. So I went to the Freedom Tower. And you know what? It was fabulous. And I had no idea how great it was down there and how much of a mark it would leave on me, you know. And those are the things that get you going and get you motivated. And the thing that I remember most, which I want to share with you and anybody listening, after 9/11, for a month or two, everybody was really nice to each other.
Yep,
Strangers were really nice to each other.
yep.
People were just generally nicer.
We came together.
Yeah, I'd like to see that again. There's so much craziness, you
Yeah,
know, Republicans, Democrats, this one, that one.
yeah.
And that's one of the things that I left with, how people came together at that point.
Yeah, that's great. And especially right now, because right now it's a month before election. So right now is that crazy time where everyone's polarized, and that's a whole different issue. Todd, let's talk about your events. I love going to your events. They're free. I love going to them. So what made you start the events?
So interesting, Christian. Um, I had in 2022, I had between 200 and 225 loan officers working underneath me.
Wow.
And we were doing hundreds of millions of dollars in business per month.
Wow.
And then what happened in the middle of 2022? The rates went from 2% to 8%.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, many of these loan officers and realtors, they couldn't survive anymore.
Yep.
So literally, we went from 225 down to about 30 or 40 folks.
Oh my gosh. What happened? They
So
resigned? What happened?
there wasn't as much business. So when the rates went up, there weren't as many people buying and there weren't as many people selling because they didn't want to get rid of their 2% mortgages and there were no refinances. So people were leaving the business, right?
Oh my
So
gosh.
just like the realtors, many realtors have left the business in the last couple of years as well. So instead of speaking to one realtor, one financial planner, one construction guy, um, one client, I decided that we were going to do a networking group designed for investors, for people who want to buy homes, whether it's a first-time home buyer or whether it's a somebody who wants to buy 20 homes. And I get sponsors. So, for example, auction.com is doing our next event. And if you live on Long Island in Suffolk County, they're going to be handling this auction. I think it's November 20th, and there's going to be all of these homes being auctioned by the county on November 20th. And they're the people you want to come to our meeting. I think it's the 5th or the 6th, and you want to hear about all the properties that are going up. And you want to be one of those bidders on those properties. There's going to be some great deals on those properties. So I try to add value. And what I want to do is I want to introduce realtors to buyers. I want to introduce contractors to realtors. I want to introduce financial planners to, all the people. And we wind up getting, between 50 and 100 folks,
Yep.
an event, and it's growing. So we did our first event. I think you were at our event on the rooftop in
Bayside. Yep.
Bayside,
Yep.
Queens. A
Beautiful
really
place.
nice place,
Beautiful place.
beautiful place. We had a great time. The next time we do that, we're expecting like 100, 150 people.
Wow.
And our event on Long Island, we normally get about 100 folks to show up. But really what I'm looking to do, and Christian and I had a conversation about it, because I'm so, hey, Christian, meet this person.
Yeah.
I want you to talk to that person.
Yep.
I want you to talk to that person, because
Yep.
I want you to get business.
Yep.
I
Yep.
want this to be like, wow, I got 5 deals out of Todd's event.
Yep.
So I try to get people motivated to
Yep.
talk to other people. I'm going to have to temper it down a little bit, and because I have so much energy
I
that I
know.
try and I really want to make the introductions A to B. And if I could get you a deal, and now you made an extra $10,000 because you came to my event, or I made an introduction, well, guess what? We're now friends for life. So that's my role as an MC. I actually started a company called Root Networking,
Okay.
and I started that company a few months ago. It's sponsoring all of the events, and it's real estate related. And we're going to be doing this now. Come January, we're going to be in 5 different locations,
Wow.
once a month, and we'll see where it goes. And the whole goal is to introduce folks. I don't care if mortgage people show up, because I could do some deals that they can't. They could do some deals that I can't. So there's always, ways to refer each other. So I don't mind the competition. In fact, years ago, there were only 3 or 4 people in my territory. We would go out instead of being on the computer, we'd go out to see people. The 3, 4 guys in our territory, we all used to play golf together.
Oh, wow.
So we figured, okay, one of us is going to win. And there was a rivalry, but it was a friendly rivalry.
Yep.
Our wives hung out together, our kids played together. We became friends. So, I always look at it as there's enough business for everybody. There's enough, realtors, attorneys, clients out there. I think there's about 2.5, 3 million people on Long Island, and another, what, 6, 7, 8 million people in New York City, maybe even more than that. Plenty of people for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, make sure you mention the free drinks at the events. Todd gives a
Ah,
free drink
yes.
to everybody.
Free drinks and free food. We feed you.
Yes, I strongly suggest go to the events. You're gonna meet people, and there are even investors there too. Like you don't necessarily have to have a license. You can be up and coming, right? Correct?
Yeah, yeah. So we had IPA, Dave DeRosa speaking last time. The guy owns 500 homes. He owns 500 homes.
Yes.
And what he does is he battles it out with the banks, wins the house, settles with the banks, and then he'll fix the house up and then sell them. So to get to hear somebody like that speak, when you want to be, it's the first time you're going to be an investor, and he's telling you where the market's going and what's going to happen and so on and so forth. Those are real people. Those are people that make you money.
Yes.
And that's why you show up to these events.
Yes, there are some very successful people at the events that he's
Right.
trying to say. So you definitely want to attend the events. I try to go as much as possible. They're usually in the main event in Farmingdale. The last one was at the rooftop in Bayside. Is there any other location that I'm missing?
No, those are the two. In January, we have one going in Westchester. We have one in Staten Island. that we're launching and one in the city. So there'll be five. So
I wonder how many
Bayside,
will go to the Staten Island one. That's pretty far, man.
well, there are realtors and people who live in Staten Island. So
Yeah, it's
I'm,
true.
I'm
I'm not trying
sure
to
we'll
take the
get some
ferry.
people from Jersey, from Lower Brooklyn. We'll get people from everywhere. And look, one of the things one of the things that are important to know in any walk of life,
Mhm.
realize that you don't know everything.
Yep.
So if you don't know everything, and I'm doing it for 30 years, and I know I don't know everything.
Yep.
So when I meet people, I'm always interested in their opinion, and I'm always interested in learning what's important to them.
Yep.
So that's some of what's out there. Um, there's a lot going on in New York right now. You have the baseball teams in the playoffs. You have the football teams playing every Sunday and tonight, Monday. And you have hockey and basketball, and all these things are going on.
Yep.
And then you have the election coming on. There's a ton, it's a great time of year to walk around in New York. There's a ton of things going on. All you have to do is find time
Yep.
to decide I want to be a homeowner. Because Christian, if I told you, hey, you don't have to have a penny and we could get you into a home. Zero money down. You could roll the closing costs in with New York State's mortgage. We could get you seller's concessions. We can get you free money from the state. And if you're a family of three, you're allowed to make up to $220,000 and qualify for this. And if I tell you that, and you're sitting on your couch and you're going, and on November 1st, you're going to pay rent for $5,000 to somebody else, and you're paying off their mortgage, maybe you should give Christian a call and let him take you out to find you a house, and then give me a call and we could get you the financing, because there's no reason to rent. You just have to know what's out there for you. You have to do the research. And they
So,
have the best rates, Christian. The state gives you the best rates.
so Todd, what about people with maybe lower credit scores and lower salaries? How about them? What would you say to them?
Okay. So anybody with a 550 score or more, which can get a mortgage with us. 580, you only have to put 3.5% down. 550, we want 10% down. So low credit scores, yeah, we could do that. Income is an issue,
Right.
but you have to be creative. So let's just say I'm buying a house. If I can't afford the house, I'm not giving you a mortgage. I don't want you to have a mortgage and then you call me up. You can't go to McDonald's. You can't pay for your car. You can't buy clothes. You
Mhm.
can't feed your kids because the
Yep.
mortgage payment is so much. I don't want to do that to you. But if you can find a place and it's got an accessory unit where there's somebody paying you rent in the basement, or you could find a two family, or you could find, whatever it is, we'll get you in. We'll get you in. What we're seeing a lot of, Christian, is families are moving in together.
Yes. Yep.
I saw in a three family, a brother and two sisters each took a unit. And guess what? The mother was living in the basement.
Times are hard, man.
Right. Three, each person and their family was in an individual unit, and mom was in the basement. And the four of them, right, were able to afford a house. But it took four people. And you know what? One of these days, one of them's going to say, okay, I can now afford something else. And they'll rent that out and it'll make sense. So you just have to be creative. You just have to say, this is my situation to Christian. This is my situation to me. What should I be doing? How should I make it work? Now, here's something most people don't advertise. When I run your credit, Christian,
Yep.
let's just say you have a low credit score. I'm going to give you a plan for free as part of my service for free. I don't want to charge, I'm not charging you. You're my client. So it's not credit counseling, it's not credit repair. I'm going to give you a plan for free to get your score up quickly. I have a woman, her son lives with her. her son and his girlfriend are expecting twin girls.
Wow.
She's she has to build a basement apartment for them in her house. And the apartment has to be done before the kids get here. Her score was really low.
Uh-huh.
For $1,900, she got her score from 540 to 590, and now she's eligible for a loan.
Interesting.
I'm not even talking about 800 score, right? I'm talking about she was 540, not eligible, to 590, and we got her a loan. So those are the things. We do a soft pull so it doesn't affect your score, Christian.
Uh-huh.
And then I give you the plan. So, there are a lot of people out there and they know their credit's bad and they don't want anybody else to know. Well, guess what? I don't know you. I'm never going to see you again, right? So it doesn't matter that I know. Look at me as
Right.
a doctor.
Right.
If you're sick, you go to the doctor, you say, this hurts, right? So if that's what hurts you, look at me as a doctor, say, Todd, my credit hurts. Okay, Christian, this is what you do to fix it. And really, 98 times out of 100, there's a plan. Sometimes the plan is just opening a new credit card. Sometimes that's just the plan. Open up a new secured credit card. 3 months later, you're going to have a score and it's going to be up there.
Wait, opening up a new card raises your credit score?
So if you have really bad credit and I run into people that have nothing open, Christian. They screwed up so bad, all their credit cards are gone. Maybe they filed bankruptcy. Well, guess what? You open up a new credit card, you open up a secured credit card, and in 90 days, all of a sudden you have a new score and you have a new life.
Interesting. Because I heard that when you apply for a card, it actually drops your credit score.
Yeah, but Christian, if you're at zero, there's no more room for it to drop,
That's true.
right? I mean, if you're really low, you're not worried about it dropping. There's a pathway, right?
Uh,
So there's, when you leave your house, you're starting wherever your car's parked, you're starting there and you're driving to work. There's a path, but you have to start the car in order to get to work.
right.
And if you're sitting there, sitting in your car, just waiting and waiting, waiting, it's never getting better. So when you're talking to clients, if you're speaking to somebody and they say, the reason why I'm not buying a house is, I don't have enough money and my credit score is not great. No, no, no. Don't let them sit. Say, hey, I have this partner of mine. He'll help you with the credit. And we have these programs, New York State programs that want to see first-time home buyers get homes. That's their whole goal. First-time home buyers. They're really terrific at it.
Yes, and it's all completely legal. Todd, what is your favorite thing about being a loan officer?
It's definitely the helping people. When you close something and they get into their first house, I have to tell you that I get invited to more barbecues than anybody I know. And that's like the joke when I speak to my clients, I say, okay, I'm calling you. I want a barbecue invite. And they're like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Some of them don't, some of them it's just let's do lunch, right?
Yep.
But some of them invite you over and they introduce you to their family. This is the reason I'm in my house. And when that happens, it's like a total turn on. It's really cool.
Yeah, you're changing lives. You're changing lives one by one. And that's the best feeling. And on top of that, you're getting paid for it. Now, Todd, I know you're a positive man, but what is your least favorite thing about being a loan officer?
So the least favorite thing for me is when I get somebody out there and they're telling me my business. They are the expert. And I've been involved not only as a loan officer, not only as a manager, but if I tell you I've been involved in tens of thousands of loans,
Wow.
tens of thousands.
Wow.
When you have 200 people working for you, loan officers working for you, and you're seeing 1,000 loans a month, it's really not that difficult. And then I'll get the stubborn person who just doesn't want to listen, knows better. And for them, it's just something different. So I've learned to fire clients, Christian. if you're going to make my life miserable, and I'm a really easy guy, so it's tough
Yeah.
to do that. But if
Yeah.
you're one of those people and you're going to make me miserable, and you're going, no matter how much I try, no matter how much help I give you, I'm going to say, you know what? I think you should find somebody else. And I find that that's what keeps me so fresh because when you're dealing with a jerk, Christian,
Yep.
and they're out there, not everybody's nice.
Uh-huh.
When you're dealing with a jerk, it's so much easier to find somebody else
Yep.
and be happy about it and make more money than have that person suck out your energy. So that's, when you run into somebody who tells you that they're the expert. Also, when I run into somebody who feels that the realtor is unnecessary and the loan officer is unnecessary. You ever run into they say, "What do you do?" And I do so much more than just quote a rate and get it through the system. I can't be replaced by a computer, at least not yet.
So Todd, tell us how you got from a regular loan officer to being to
It's a
supervising
great
lenders.
story. It's a great story.
Yeah.
So many years ago, I was the top loan officer on Long Island. I was
Wow.
doing Many years ago. I was doing like 50 loans a month before the
Wow.
internet, before anything, and it was all because I was, working so hard.
50 loans a
I
month.
went, yeah, I
Jeez.
went to. I don't even do that type of business now. I'm starting to get back into it,
That's
but
crazy. That's more than one a day. That's crazy.
I'd have 6 or 7 people. I had an 8 o'clock appointment, a 9 o'clock appointment, a 10 o'clock appointment,
Wow.
11, 6, 7 people back to back to back to back.
How do you get there though?
I'm going to tell you. It was working every day. It was putting yourself out there. When you show up at my event and you show up at all 5 of these events in January and you meet 3 different investors, and investors a lot of times are buying more than one home. And you meet 3 different people and you stay in contact with them. And then the next time you come, you meet another 3 at each event. Now you have 30 different investors. And all of a sudden you're getting calls from these people because they like you. They want you to, hey, check out this house for me. And all of a sudden you got 10, 15 deals there. And then they have the houses to sell, Christian, because not only are they buying them, but they want to flip them. So
Yep.
now you have the listings coming back. And from the listings, you are going to meet a lot of buyers, and they're going to need to buy someplace because only one person could buy your listing, but there's 50 people who show up.
Referrals.
So that's how you grow your business. But how I moved up the ladder was I was at a christening out of state, and I saw something in the newspaper of a company that had good rates and they had a bunch of offices, and I knew they weren't in New York. So they didn't recruit me to open up an office for them. I called them up and I recruited them to
Yep.
open up an office. So I will tell you, if you want to get ahead in the world, no matter what your position is, you got to pick up the phone, you got to send the email, you got to do things that other people aren't doing,
Yep.
and it will work. And that's how I became the youngest manager at my first company because I dialed them
24/7.
right. And finally they responded. They said, "Leave us alone already." I said, "I can't leave you alone. I want to work for your company. I want to be the top producing manager in your company." And if you have that type of energy, regardless of what it is, you'll succeed. Everybody finds an excuse,
Yep.
Christian, and
Yep.
what they do is you build something up in your mind as to why it can't get done. It doesn't even make sense. You've never even spoken to this person, but you'll have this thing in your head and be like, I can't call them. They're never going to do business with me. They're never going to do this. And you know what you find out? You find out that 9 out of 10 people have that thought. Be the one that doesn't. And that's how you create opportunity for yourself.
Yeah, even me myself, like cold calling, sometimes I lack the motivation because we all know that an FU is usually on the other side. So, cold calling and just working in general, okay, you gotta be persistent. Todd,
I have a funny story for you. So a realtor was telling me how difficult it was a few months ago. that their clients couldn't find homes. And we've heard this story, right? Now it's getting a little better, but there's still plenty of areas where they can't find homes, right? So what I said to the person is drive around with your client while they're in the car, knock on doors on homes they like and see if the person in the house would be interested in selling.
Yeah.
9 no's, 1 yes. They wound up getting them a house.
Really?
But can you imagine what nerve it takes to do that? Because so many people, hi, my name's Christian. I'm a realtor. I normally don't do this. I have a buyer in the car. They saw your house. They love your house. Would you be interested in selling your home? And the story went something to the effect of the person said, what were you underneath my bed last night? I was discussing it with my husband. Come on in. And
Todd,
sure enough, but it
we
does,
only
I mean, it's work. It's work.
we only have a few seconds left, Todd. Where can people find you?
So Todd.Adwar at ccm.com. My cell number, 516-639-3532. Text me, call me whenever you want. I'm available.
I'll put all the info in the description below. Todd, it was great talking to you,
Absolutely.
man. I'll see you at the
Very
next.
nice to be with you, Christian. Talk to you soon. See you in a few weeks at the
Take
next
care.
event.
Thanks, Todd. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.